Ramanan sir, who is the board member, strategy advisor, growth consultant to several leading governmental and multinational institutions, incubators, startups, corporates, NGOs in innovation, entrepreneurship, sustainability, women empowerment, and global partnerships. From 2017 to 2021, he worked under Atal Innovation Mission as Mission Director and Additional Secretary at the NITI Aayog to drive the creation of a world-class innovation and entrepreneurship ecosystem across the length and breadth of the country. During this stint, AIM established over 10,000 tinkering labs in school across the country. So around over 75 Atal incubators fostering over 2,500 startups, of which 680 plus are women-led startups, over 56 Atal New India and Arise challenges for startups and MSME, over 19 Atal Community Innovation Centers in Tier 2, Tier 3 cities to foster local innovation and local job creation, and a network of over 6,000 plus mentors of change nationwide to mentor students, startups, incubators, and innovators. He worked as Managing Director and CEO of CMC Limited between 2001 to 2017, driving transformation of a government-owned public sector IT enterprise CMC to global private sector product-driven system engineering and integration organization after its acquisition by the Tata Group in 2001. During this period, CMC operating margins grew from 2% to 21% at its peak, and its share price rose from rupees 180 to rupees 2,450 after a 100% bonus dividend to its shareholders in that period before its amalgamation into TCS. So he was a senior vice president of Tata Consultancy Services up to 2021, joining TCS in 1981 and driving the creation and growth of a world-class IT organization in various capacities from product development to global business development and marketing, general management, strategy, and visioning business excellence. TCS has grown from around 500 plus persons when he joined to around 6 lakhs plus to the date and is among the global top 3 IT consulting services companies of the world. He was core member of the Tata Group Innovation Forum, the Tata Business Excellence Model Initiative board member of the Tata companies like the Tata IQ, Tata Business Support Services, IDEX Defense Innovation Organization, Indo-Israel Innovation Forum, Indo-US Science and Technology Forum, fellow IIM Bangalore, NSRCEL Innovation Hub, New Zealand Trade Enterprise Chair of Beachhead Advisors. So he's the alumni of IIT Mumbai in Electrical Engineering, Harvard Business School Advanced Management Program, Cambridge Sustainability Leadership, and also the honorary doctorate from Gujarat Law Society in recognition of contributions to corporate leadership, business excellence, and pan-India innovation and entrepreneurship. He is elected as lifetime chair of the Harvard Business School AMP 187 Alumni Association. For all his achievements, he has been awarded as the Most Valuable CEO Award from Business World twice in succession, Outstanding Asia CEO Award by CMO Asia at Singapore, Digitalist of the Year Award by SAP Mint, Rajiv Gandhi Shiromani Award, National Leadership in Innovation Award by Confederation of MSME India, and many others. It's indeed an honor to have this prolific personality today. Over to you, sir.
Honorable Principal of the college, Mr. Gowdaji, Manish Rauji, respected dignitaries who are all there present today in the vicinity, young students, bright-eyed students, startup creators of the future. It is indeed a pleasure and a privilege for me to be able to come and join you on this very, very special topic that I am so passionate about, and I'm sure every one of you should be very passionate about. Because that is your topic, it's not just my topic. That is the future that you are going to create. You, all who are assembled here, you are the transformers of the India that is being created starting from now. You are the future architects of a world that we are all going to inhabit. Upon you rest the hopes of billions of people. We have 7.3 billion people in our planet. We have 1.4 billion plus people in India. And you are going to be ensuring that they ride into a better future, into a happier future, into a future that is devoid of problems that we see in today's world. Because every problem that you see in today's world is also an opportunity for you to exercise your creativity, your innovation, your ability to be able to leverage the huge changes that are happening in the world to your advantage and to the advantage of others. So I want to thank TiE, I want to thank the college, and I want to thank every one of you for giving me an opportunity to share a few thoughts on this particular occasion. I forget the name of the boy who just introduced prior. Aniruddha. And your name? Lokesh. Lokesh started off with referring to Mahatma Gandhi and referring to the villages. And he said that if every village is not transformed, we will not be able to have real growth in our country. Mahatma Gandhi also said, be the change that you want to see. And every one of us hears this particular phrase and then hopes that someone is going to act upon it. Someone else is going to act upon it because we feel that we are not the change makers. Sometimes we feel we don't have the ability to be change makers. We feel that innovation is in the realm of genius. We feel that innovation is really not our cup of tea. What we want is to be able to graduate from our school, from our college, from the university that we join, get good marks, go to the university abroad if possible, get good marks again, find a job, whether it is with IBM, TCS, Wipro, Infosys or whatever, and settle down in life. We all in India aspire because of various reasons, and I don't want to go into the reasons, we aspire to be great job seekers. And we are wonderful in that. We are wonderful in being able to execute a job to perfection, which is why we have got more than $200 billion plus ITS industry. With the focus that we have had on education, on rote learning, on getting good marks, and going to universities abroad, we have become the job providers, job seekers, and the service providers to the rest of the world. As a part of TCS, I have seen this. I joined TCS in 81, as was remarked in the introduction. We were just a 500-person organization. We had only one client, and that was the Tata company, Tata Shares. We didn't have a single client from anywhere else in the world. When I joined, that was the main company to whom we were providing services. But the vision of the company was different. Under Mr. Kohli and then all the other people who joined, the vision was, why can't we serve the rest of the world? Why can't we be the service providers for the top companies of the world in an area of knowledge services, knowledge-driven economy? And the computer came in as a welcome change and a possibility for all of us to leverage. And that's how India rose. TCS acquired one client after the other. I know the times when I went abroad for the first time to US, to Motorola, and the manager asked me whether I was educated in America. And I asked, why did you ask that? He said, well, because you speak English. And I said, well, I'm from India, and this is my first trip abroad. And then she asked me another surprising question. She asked me in a whisper, is it true that still tigers roam the cities and the streets of our country? This is the knowledge that an American manager had about India, or at least the picture that they had of India. And from there, we have come a long way. We are today a knowledge economy of the world, or we are looked upon as being the knowledge service providers of the world. But what we have achieved today is not going to take us further. We have become great job seekers, but we need to become the job creators. And all of us here, all of you in this room, who have had the benefit of tremendous education in a university like yours, or in a city like Mysuru, or in the vicinity of the Silicon Valley of India, Bangalore, you cannot aspire to be anything lower than a job creator. You have the opportunity, we have the need. Now let me talk about the need. We have 1.3 billion people in our country. And I'm going to tell you the challenges we have, because it is in challenges that there are opportunities. Every challenge, we are a country of 1 billion challenges, but 1 billion opportunities. And 1 billion opportunities are a billion opportunities for you to tap in with your creativity, with your mind, with your innovative capability to be able to address and not leave it to some other foreign land to grab this opportunity and make the most of it. Why is India so still resilient to the global economic recession which is surrounding the world? And that's because we have the need, we have the demand, we have the capability to meet this demand. And as long as this beautiful nexus exists of the ability to meet the demand and the demand generation being amplified, we have the opportunity to grow. We have 250 million people today as a middle class rising economy. And that's a great number. It's a number as equivalent to or greater than the population of the United States. But what is the opportunity? We have 250 million people more who are going to be added to this middle class rising economy in the next 10 years. Now that's the population of the United States being added to the middle class rising economy. All of you who are having iPhones and cars and auto vehicles and whatever technologies you're having, your next generation of the next 250 million people are going to have the same, if not more. And that is where the demand lies. And that is where the need also lies. So we, you, every one of you, have an opportunity to service that demand. How do you service it? By creating your own enterprises, by becoming entrepreneurs of the future, by becoming the startup creators of the future. And let me now once again delve a little bit on the challenges that we have, because in the challenges is the need, and in the need is the opportunity. We have 650,000 villages in our country. We have 715 districts in our country. We have more than 8,000 small towns and cities, and we have only 8 tier 1 cities. And everybody flocks to the 8 tier 1 cities in search of better quality of lives, improvement of their livelihoods. How can that be a sustainable environment? How can we migrate 1.4 billion people to 8 tier 1 cities? It's just not possible. So what we need is that we need to convert these 8,000 small towns and cities, these 715 districts, these 650,000 plus villages into hubs of innovation and job creation. Every one of them has the potential to be a local hub of innovation, a local hub of job creation. It is only then that we are going to have what they call as the socio-economic balance. Economic growth is possible by leaving a large portion of the country behind, and that is not sustainable. That is where you have problems like what you see, the unrest you see in other parts of the world, which have given importance to the growth of economy, but which have not given importance to the growth of its villages, to the growth of the people who don't have, the have-nots. The digital divide, the economic divide, the social divide between the haves and the have-nots, as that increases, your economy will not only be non-sustainable, it will collapse, it will create a revolution, it will create unrest, it will create grievous damage. So we need to carry these rural people along. 650,000 hubs of innovation and job creation is what is required. Now the question is, can we do it? Is it a possibility or not? That is what every one of you should ponder on. You are here in Mysuru. You are seeing everything around here. What are the problems that a place like Mysuru has? Why can't Mysuru become Mumbai or Bangalore? What is it that prevents it from being an active service provider and a job creator for thousands or hundreds of thousands of people sitting here? That is why the TiE Mysuru becomes such an important factor. And that is why the government is placing so much importance to innovation, entrepreneurship, startups, and the ability of every one of you to be a job creator. You should aspire to be that, nothing lower. I know it is always easy for someone standing here to be able to preaching to the other side that, hey, you should be a job creator, not a job seeker. Because I had been a job seeker, right? And that is where I realized that today we have the opportunity for a number of reasons. Now, before I go again to the opportunity and why this is possible, I want to still delve a little bit on the challenges that we have. We have, as I said, 715 districts. And I don't know how many of you are aware that there are a set of districts called the aspirational districts. These aspirational districts are at the bottom of the pyramid in terms of basic access to healthcare, education, clean drinking water, sanitation, waste management, affordable housing, quality of lives, availability of livelihoods. We have 115 of these districts which are at the bottom of the pyramid. But we didn't want to call them the bottom of the pyramid districts. We wanted to call them aspirational districts because they need to aspire to become like any average district and even become better than them. How are they measured? They're measured by these parameters that I talked about. So there is an index to measure the performance or the health and hygiene of every district in our country, which has been set up by the NZTE, the National Institution for Transforming India. And that index is published. If you go to the NZTE website, you can see which are all the 115 aspirational districts and how they rank in every one of these parameters. Now the problem is that we need to address this challenge. But that is also an entrepreneurial opportunity. An entrepreneurial opportunity because if you solve that problem, you're going to have not 250 million people entering into the middle class rising economy, you're going to have 500 million people entering into the middle class rising economy. That's an opportunity of growth for every one of you and for the country. So here is the challenge and there is the opportunity. But then you say, yes, this opportunity exists. How can I tap into it? Or can I tap into it? Can I be the vehicle of change? Can I be the change maker that Mahatma Gandhi talks about? Can I be the change that I want to see? And in this, we have 4 very positive things happening in our country. One, we are what they call as a demographically advantaged country, demographic dividend. We have 1.3 billion people, but 65% of our people are under 35 years old. 50% of us people are under 25 years old. We have 1.4 million plus schools in our country. We have more than 10,500 engineering and related institutions like your institution. We have 39,000 plus colleges. We have 150 million students like you who are going to be entering into the workplace over the next 5 to 10 years. Now that's an enormous advantage for any country in the world. No other country is having and enjoying this demographic dividend. And why is this such a big advantage? Because it is youth power. It is youth energy. It's an energy that is coursing through the nation. It's an energy that can transform in a dynamic, exponential manner the status of any country. And that, my dear young students, you are part of that energy. You are that energy. You can network amongst each other. You can find 4 people of like thinking amongst each other, create a startup, identify an opportunity, create a startup to address that opportunity and grow. So think very carefully what you are here today, I think by a stroke of destiny as well as by your own ability and agility that you have brought to date. You are here at this point in time, but think about the opportunity that you can create and you can avail of. So that, my dear young students, is the possibility. The second important thing that is a big advantage for our country is we are one of the fastest growing economies of the world. We have been growing at 6.5 to 8%. All the others, including China today, is growing at half of that rate. And we are going to grow between 8 to 10% or even 12% over the next 10 years. And why is that? Simply because we have aspirational people. None of you want to go into poverty. Not every one of you wants to ensure that your family is going to get better. Your life is going to get better. People around you are going to get better. That's your need. And when you have such a compelling need, you're going to work towards it. And when you work towards it, our economy is going to grow by 8%. It's going to gallop to 8 to 10% per year. And that is why everybody is flocking to our country. All the countries are flocking here. Do you think they love India and therefore they are coming? Yes, they may be loving India and it's an age of global collaboration, but that is the opportunity here which they see and they want to tap into it, and you should be the first to tap into it. The third thing that is happening Now, when you have a fast rising economy, then many organizations come to the fore, right? It is possible for investment to happen. If your economy is going down, nobody will invest. They're going to save their money. They're going to say, I want to save it for a rainy day. But when your economy is growing, when you have venture capitalists with increasing flush of funds, when we have 108 unicorns that have been born in our country today, 60 of them during the COVID-19 period, when the rest of the world was reeling under the COVID-19 impact, we were creating unicorns. Why? Because we innovatively addressed the demand in our country. The Zomatos, the Swiggy, the Flipkarts, the Olas, the Oyos, everybody pivoted their offerings. A car company started delivering food. A food company started transporting people, and so on and so forth. So you had this pivoting of their innovative idea into something that was addressing the COVID-19 demand. Several startups pivoted their offerings to create preventive, curative, and assistive solutions for the COVID-19. When I was the Atal Innovation Mission head and COVID-19 struck, we coordinated, and I had the opportunity to coordinate in finding out what solutions can help in this COVID-19 crisis. So we put out a request for anyone, anybody, whether it was a corporate, whether it was industry, or whether it was anyone, to say, do you have a solution that will address a COVID-19 related problem, a preventive problem, an assistive problem? Assistive need not be related to COVID, but all other type of assistance that is required, transportation, food, etc., working from remote, and so on and so forth. And third was a curative problem. We did magnificently in all that. By whom? By the startups. We had 1,500 startups that responded to that call in less than 3 weeks. 3 weeks from the day we published on our website that we are looking for solutions, within 3 weeks we got more than 1,500. We identified 1,500, shortlisted 1,500 startups who had a pivoted solution during that period, which would address the COVID-19 problems that we are facing. And then we had the industry rallying around at that time, saying we are not having these innovative solutions, but we are ready to support them because we need these solutions for our operation. And so we had large companies like Tata's or Infosys or big venture capital funds all backing this 1,500 startups so that they can create the solutions needed for addressing the COVID-19 crisis. So my dear young students, what I'm trying to point out is that the COVID-19 taught us at that time that desperation and devastation is actually an opportunity for us to convert and create solutions that mankind and humanity needed. And in that process, people made money. And that is why 60 unicorns were born during that period. That is why today we have 72,000 or 87,000 plus startups according to the website of Startup India. 87,000 plus startups in our country. We are the startup nation of the world. And my dear young students, if you don't become a startup solution provider, you are missing a golden opportunity. In California and in the United States at that time, there was this gold rush. And people used to run and they all flocked to California at that time to find the gold and mine the gold out from California and all the other parts of California. There was a huge rush from everywhere. This is the gold rush for us in terms of startups. And so, my dear friends, I think that there is a huge opportunity. The third important thing is, what is the positive thing? So I talked about the demographic dividend, I talked about a growing economy, I talked about the needs which are there. Now, there is one more thing which is happening, and you are all beneficiaries of it, you're living with it, you're seeing it, and that is technology. Technology is changing the very shape of the world that we are all living in. It's changing the way you are experiencing the world and the way the world is experiencing you. When I was in TCS, back in 1983, my first trip to New Zealand, I remember this very, very vividly. My parents and my sister were queuing up in my neighbor's house for a 2-minute call with half a minute for each of the 4 people to be able to talk to me in New Zealand, because A, it was not our phone, B, it was very costly to be able to talk to New Zealand. That was not far back. That was 1983. And today every one of you is conversing with every other person in the planet and unmindful of communication costs and so on. We have the lowest communication costs in the world. We have multiple phones. Every one of you have multiple phones. You're surfing the net. You're having access to global information. We are in a world of global connectivity. That is all enabled because of technology. So technology is becoming affordable, accessible, available, and advanced. All four parameters. Affordability is important. That's why we are setting up thousands of tinkering labs. Tinkering labs, the other tinkering labs that they talked about, are state-of-the-art innovation labs in schools, in government schools, in private schools, in a space of 1,500 square feet, where the latest of technologies like 3D printing, robotics, IoT, miniaturized electronics, augmented virtual reality, 5G technology, they are all being introduced as do-it-yourself kits. Why are we introducing them as do-it-yourself kits? So children will play with them, not be taught, not be told that if you don't learn it, you are not going to get marks. They have an atmosphere of fun and creativity and learning, and they can play with these technologies in a do-it-yourself manner. And remarkable innovations are coming out of these young students from grade 5 to grade 12. Now you are all already past that school, you're in college, but you have even more technology accessible to you. All of the technology that I talked about, they're revolutionizing the way you can create solutions. 3D printing is enabling you to operate a manufacturing organization from a kirana store, from your own house, from the garage, from the lab of your school. You can do 3D printing and market your products to anywhere in the world. Communication technology, 5G technology is reducing the distance. So global, your reach becomes global. From Jodhpur to Japan, from Salem to Seattle, from Sikkim to San Francisco, your product, your service has the globe as a stage. The globe is your market. So whether you're sitting in Mysuru and trying to manufacture silk sarees and market it to the other end of the world, that possibility exists. And you can have augmented reality, virtual reality displaying the power and the beauty of the Mysore silk saree or the silk products or whatever else you are creating from here. Organic fruit from Sikkim can reach any part of the world, whether in Seattle or in San Francisco. So that's the sort of opportunity that exists because of communication technology. Robotics is driving the next degree of automation. So you can have agri-tech, which is being now facilitated with robotics. Sensor technologies are getting integrated into man, machine, device, soil, space. So when you have sensor technologies and you have this vast plethora of information coursing in and feeding in from multiple feeds into powerful computers, nano computing, supercomputing, and so on, you have the ability to analyze data in real time and create solutions that we never thought was possible. So my dear young students, all of you are engineering students and students of technology, but a real appreciation of AR, VR, and AI. AI is now possible. We talked about AI when I was in school. When I was in college, guys, I remember seeing that 2001 Space Odyssey. I don't know whether many of you remember seeing that movie. That movie was, we thought, it's not possible. You know, the computer taking over and talking and so on and so forth and all that stuff. Today it's reality because of the convergence of advanced computing, advanced communications, advanced data processing, and advanced data analytics. AI has become a feasibility. Many of you may have used ChatGPT by now, right? And some of you have used. It's amazing. You put a question to it, out comes an essay. Now, of course, it poses other problems. Students will start using that and creating essays out of it without having to really study that subject. But that's what AI is. Conversational AI is making it possible. But imagine if you are integrating all of this whole classroom that we are seeing here, or this hall that you are going to seeing here, will be completely different. I saw I'm working with one startup who can convert all these windows into projection displays. So your window, with no additional electricity and so on, because of nanotechnology, it is a reflective technology, and if you project anything on it through a projector, maybe a projector mounted on the wall or a hidden projector, that can become a screen. And it doesn't consume any electricity, zero radiation, zero power consumption. That's the technology being done by a particular company. all of that is going to become possible. Your walls will become screens. You will no longer need this sort of screen here to be displayed and so on. So you can innovate and leverage technology to its hilt in addressing the challenges that we have. Now, the topic then is what is it that we have to do from a point of view of a startup. I want to start a startup. So what does a startup mean from my point of view, right? For me, the word startup is very self-explanatory. It starts with a solution to a problem. The S stands for the solution. Do you have a solution for a problem that you have been seeing day in, day out, and nobody has solved it? Or a problem that has been solved suboptimally by someone, and you have not, and you find that, why is it solved in such a suboptimal manner? I could solve it better. So for example, ChatGPT came out because Google, when you search for anything in Google, then it gives you a list, then you have to press on it and get and so on and so forth, and you have to collect information from multiple sources. So somebody said, why can't we automate this whole process of finding out information from multiple sources related to the topic and present them in a very cohesive manner? And that's how the ChatGPT is being formed. So it's a problem that's been staring you at your face, and someone has not just noticed that problem. So problem identification, problem solving, problem design thinking, these are all elements, these are skills that you should have. But more importantly, you have to think of a solution that is addressing a problem that is either not solved or being anticipated or not solved optimally, right? It has to be scalable. A startup solution cannot be just a solution that you can show and then say everybody should buy it. No, it doesn't. You have to have the ability to scale it. It has to be sustainable in today's world. We have climate change as a major threat for the entire climate. We don't want to add to the woes of the world by adding on more problems. So how do we ensure that the solution is scalable, sustainable, and at the same time it has societal impact, positive impact on society? Steve Jobs said very famously, we should leave a ding in the universe. And I really think we should think very carefully about those words. We all have one opportunity in our lifetime to create an impact. Are we going to create an impact, or are we going to be an also-ran in this race of our lives? And you have the opportunity to make an impact or leave a ding in the universe by your own startup, your own idea. So create a solution. So think of a solution for a problem. The T in the startup stands for technology. Today I have told you already, technology is key in driving the uniqueness and the agility of your solution. See, you may have ability, but you need agility. The solution should be such that it is leveraging technology to the hilt, either in its making or in its use. It doesn't mean an entrepreneur or a startup always has to have a technology-driven solution. There can be other process solution, customer service solution, process innovation, customer service innovation. So many innovations are there, business process innovation and so on. But how do you use technology for all of that? You can use technology. You should use technology for your marketing, for your distribution, for your logistics management. All of that technology starts playing an important role in your solution being able to scale up and to be able to be used and modified very quickly, right? It has to be retraded. Look at iPhone, Apple. Apple has become the largest company in the world. Out of what? Out of one product, mainly. Okay, not even their PC, which is selling well. Apple Mac sells well, but iPhone. And which version of iPhone are we in now? iPhone 14, right? 14 times they have innovated, re-innovated, re-engineered, reiterated, added more complexity, added more solutions, added more functionality, and so on and so forth. And one product has propelled Apple right to the top. So startup is always about re-engineering your solution, right? So technology is a very important part. The A stands for agility. Ability you should have. If you don't have ability, and ability comes by acquisition of knowledge. It comes by an action plan that you should have. Without an action plan and without the discipline of following that action plan, nobody succeeds. Genius is 99% perspiration and 1% inspiration. So you all should know, Sachin Tendulkar didn't become the cricketer that he was by just saying, I'll go out and bat and score a century. Every day till the day he retired, and I understand even today he does some of that, 5 to 6 hours at the net, early morning, go and practice batting. Go and practice his stroke play. Go and practice his response to various different types. And as his age grew, he realized that he has to change his style, change the bat, change his way he stands, etc., and so on and so forth. Change his exercise pattern and so on. So action plan means discipline, and discipline, people think startup is just fantastic idea and everything should fall in place. No, there's tremendous amount of discipline. So you have to have, that discipline leads to agility. And agility enables you to succeed in a very competitive marketplace. It's a very competitive marketplace. Everybody else is also, by the time you think of an idea, somebody else is also thinking of the same idea, right? And so we have to make sure that that idea succeeds. The R in the startup stands for re-engineering. Like I said, re-engineer your product. You will never get your product or your service offering right at the first time. It's impossible. So you have to reiterate and re-engineer and so on and so forth and continuously improve. And that's where design thinking, feedback loops, all of these which you learn in engineering and all become very important. System engineering becomes very important because that is what is going to create a world-class product. You don't want to aspire anything less than a world-class product or a world-class service. And then the T again, there is another T which stands for the team. Gone are the days where you can be the founder, the innovator, the CEO, the marketer and all that stuff. You will need a great team who will complement you at every step and who will add value to you in every step. And therefore, finding the right team who are as passionate as you and who are as committed as you are is important. And therefore that's why startups always starts with good friends who come together and who share a same dream. And that dream becomes a common dream. And that dream is a purposeful dream. And then therefore, it fills you with the energy to overcome the challenges that are there. You will see many challenges in your startup life. You will definitely see. But remember the words of Abdul Kalam, where he said, the word fail means the first attempt in learning. So there is no failure in the world of a startup. It is always a first attempt in learning. But you better learn something from every place that you have stumbled. Because as you stumble and get up, and you use your innovation to improve, you will be able to solve your next problem and your next challenge. And the U in the startup stands for uniqueness. You have to be unique. You cannot be copying some other product and saying that I have also created a startup. Yeah, that will run you for some distance. That will run you for a period of time, but afterwards it will peter off. Because if you could copy it, somebody else could copy it even better. So what you need is to bring a uniqueness into your product offering, but also you have to bring a uniqueness in your marketing approach, in your customer segmentation, in your customer acquisition process, into your internal systems, into your supply chain, into your logistic management, everything which is related to the product, but it is not really the product, right? That is important. So how do you ensure that you bring uniqueness in all the aspects? Why has Apple set up Apple stores everywhere? You know, there was a marketing genius of Steve Jobs, where he said that these stores will create, the eyeballs, and people will want to come there and they get familiar with more Apple products, and you have world-class people who are telling them. If you go to an Apple store, particularly in the United States, you'll be very impressed with the type of people who are there in the Apple store. They really know the product inside out. And they'll operate it so fast in front of you that you'll be wondering why you're so slow in operating an iPhone or a Mac and so on and so forth. But that's why your marketing approach, all of that become very important. And finally, the P in the startup stands for persistence. You have to persist. You have to be able to go through the various valleys of death that a startup's life cycle has. But to eliminate those valleys of death is what the government has been trying to do. That is why the Atal Innovation Mission, the DST incubators, the Startup India initiatives, G20 now has become a great opportunity for India to showcase its startup talent to the rest of the world. The theme of G20, as all of you are aware, is one family, one future, one earth, right? And that means, what does one family mean? That means your world is a community and the world is your marketplace. What does one earth mean? Sustainability is so important for us. If you don't address sustainability, climate change, the SDG goals, the 17 SDG goals that are there, you wouldn't know it. That's why in Atal Tinkering Labs, every student has to align their innovation with a sustainable development goal, one of the 17 sustainable development goals. We are bringing that culture and awareness that the future of the world is dependent upon this conscious knowledge of what climate change is all about and how do we ensure that that doesn't become a bottleneck in our progress of humanity. And finally, the P also stands for passion. Unless you're passionate about something, so take your time. It's not that as soon as you graduate you have to start your startup. You can go and work in a good company, but keep in your mind always that I should be an innovator in this company or outside. And can I use all the learnings that I get over a period of time to create my own startup and to create jobs which not only India needs but the world needs. The great Abdul Kalam said, dream big and you'll achieve great things. Dream small and you will be limited by your own dreams. And he came from this small, humble town of Rameshwaram, a town many of you may not even have visited, a town known more for its temples and its fishing boats than for its universities or schools. But out of this town, sitting in a fishing boat, running after trains to deliver the newspaper, came a man who dreamt to be a pilot. He did not become a pilot, but he became one of the finest scientists India has ever seen. And then when he became the president of the country, he said, and I read this only recently and I didn't know about it, he said he became the supreme commander of the air forces as a president and therefore achieved his dream. But then he asked them, now that I'm the supreme commander, I should know how to fly a plane. And he learned how to fly a plane and he flew his own plane at that time. At that age of 75 or 80 when he was there, he learned to fly a plane. And therefore, his dream became a reality. And so, my dear friends, dream big. There's nothing wrong in dreaming big. People say, oh, don't be ambitious. Ambition and dreams are very different. Ambition at the cost of your personal welfare or the welfare of your family or that of society is very, very damaging. But ambition, pure ambition to be able to do something good out of your life and to impact many others is a very positive, enervating, energizing thing. And the great Swami Vivekananda said, have belief in yourself. If you have belief in 1,000 gods and goddesses, but do not have belief in yourselves, you are doomed. So my dear friends, have tremendous belief in yourself, more than anything else. Yes, I can, said Obama. And he became the first black president of the United States. So you should say, yes, I can. And I will become the great startup creator that I am interested in. And maybe I'll become a unicorn. I'll become a multinational company. I'll straddle the globe. That is the opportunity. So as again, the great Vivekananda said, let us all arise, awake, and stop not till our goals are reached. So can we arise to the challenges that India, rural India, urban India, the 650,000 plus villages, agriculture, healthcare, education, clean drinking water, sanitation, waste management, transportation, infrastructure, all of these are wonderful opportunities. Challenges are opportunities. So let us arise to the challenges and the opportunities that India presents. Let us awaken from within us that latent talent that every one of us has, but somehow we fail to give expression, or we limit ourselves because of external pressures, because of societal pressures, because of somebody saying, hey, this is not in your realm of doing things, and we start limiting ourselves. And stop not till the Atmanirbhar Bharat goals of India, and more importantly, your own goals of contributing to your welfare, society's welfare, and the global welfare are reached. Thank you so much for giving me time to share.
Since I'm representing an engineering institute like MIT, so I'm also associate member of TiE. Recently, we have adopted NEP to the policies for the engineering curriculum. And on the other side, we have witnessed the decorum that the Honorable Prime Minister of India is keeping the doors open for the foreign universities to come and start their institutions here in India. So looking at the differences between the functionality of different universities. So can you just post your comment, like because we have the functionality of VT under one set of instruction, like the other ways the foreign institutes have their own set of formulations. So won't that bring big differences in the students studying in these two universities, so that their opportunities or their innovation or their capacities would be different?
I just compare it, for example, with the software industry. Okay, always we have been talking about make in India and to be a little protective about whatever we do. To some degree, that protection is important and useful, but when carried to the extreme, it can actually be quite negative, because it does not elevate the quality, the competitiveness of our institutions, of our products and services and so on. And it's not easy for global companies to immediately adapt to India too. So for example, if you see many solutions that are now being used in India is as much local as global solutions are being used. And there is an opportunity. India, is at a completely different level in terms of its ability to spend and so on and so forth. So the value pricing or the values that you can add to your product or your service is much more based upon the expectations and the needs of our people, which is not so easy to be addressed by global universities. At the same time, they will bring a certain level of competitiveness in raising the quality of our institutions also, right? Collaboration, of course, will also help. So they will want to collaborate with Indian IT companies. You see, I'll give you an example. I helped the New Zealand trade enterprise. And New Zealand is a very innovative country. There are 3 million people, 33 million sheep in that country, right? And they have the largest food exports, milk product export in the world. Now, how is it a small country like New Zealand has so much export to the world? But if you look at India, their exports to India are minimal, right? They're struggling to have exports in India because their pricing points are at a different level and they're not able to come below that. So the only way they can do is collaborate with Indian companies and be able to build the partnerships. So overall, I do believe that this is a positive development, right? We all go abroad for higher studies, but we are not interested in universities coming here. So that's the dichotomy that is there, right? So why allow them to go there? Let them come here, and then we will build up our people, and then they will, find good jobs here. So I think it is a positive.
Started the Atal Innovation Mission. I think it was not an easy task at all, because we were just groping in the dark.
Yes.
We did a fantastic job. So my question is, we are talking about unicorns. So my own understanding or concept of a unicorn is it's more like a venture capitalist driven kind of a definition. So what is it you think that out of these 100 odd unicorns, are we going to create sustainable, long-standing enterprises which are going to cross the next 100 years? What do you think is the path for that?
Yeah, and very loaded question also, because you see, this thirst for unicorns is, as you rightly said, is a valuation game, and you want your company to be valued at $1 billion, right? Should that be the ambition of any startup? Absolutely not. According to me, that should not be the ambition of every startup. That should be an automatic occurrence if your startup is delivering on its intention and it is unique and it is creating the company for the next 100 years, right? So, is it important? The valuation becomes important because it gets the attention, it gets the investment and all of that. But if the pursuit of a startup is just how am I going to, at the fastest possible, shortest possible period of time, raise my valuation and become a unicorn, you're going to see all the problems that you are seeing today in many of the so-called unicorns. I personally think that many of the unicorns which are out there, probably 20% of them will really survive. The remaining 80% will go down. But unless those people get their act together, and they are seeing their fellow unicorns, all suffering. So they have to get their act together. End of the day, it is. I mean, look at all the big companies which are there today, the Tata Group or whatever, which have survived 168 years and so on and so forth. They never talked about their valuation. Even today, Tata Motors or Air India has been now taken in Tata's fold, or CMC was taken in Tata's fold. The idea was, how do you create value out of them, sustainable long-term value, and you have to put all those ingredients together in order to make a startup very successful. And another thing, social startup. Many people say social startups, why should I get into it? It will never become a unicorn. But that's where your vision and purpose comes into being. Take a great example is the Khan Academy. All of you are familiar with the Khan Academy. How did Khan Academy start? It started off with this guy wanting to teach his niece or nephew about mathematics and physics and so on, because the guy was floundering. And he used the YouTube and he used the online media to be able to do that. And where are they now today? He has no dearth for money. Every company is putting money into foundations, are giving them, because education is such a big need. So even if you're a socially driven startup, but with the right idea and the right way of addressing it, you will get so much funding that you will never have to worry about it for the rest of your life in terms of your personal wealth or your personal welfare. May not be the wealth, if you are not after wealth, at least welfare will be taken care of, right? And therefore, a startup should always look at a long-term horizon, and they should do the valuation at the time when they need the money, right? But again, people should not try to artificially bloat it up and so on and so forth, because the moment you do that, you are into a trap which will just spiral down.
And the theme being the rural today, what kind of policy level decisions or support is being given? Because growth always seems to be going in a trickle-down approach. Start with metros, whether it is market-driven by companies or otherwise. But the growth could be driven more by a bottom-up approach. So in terms of promoting industries or whatever else, because everybody in any state you look at, one metro takes out pretty much all the growth, and some parts of it will trickle down to the villages. So in terms of governance, what do you think government is doing or can do to make it more of a bottom-up approach?
Yeah, challenge is big for us, and that is why I do find that most of the government schemes have that thing in constant mind. For example, even when we were setting up Atal Innovation Mission, tinkering labs, incubators, a conscious decision was 70% of the tinkering labs should be in tier 2, tier 3 cities and not in tier 1 cities. 70% should be government-aided schools and not private schools. Only 30% were private, or now I think it is even lesser, 25% or so. And 70% were in girls and co-ed schools, because that is one of the most deprived communities in terms of empowerment and so on and so forth. And so if you look at most of the government initiatives today, there is a huge emphasis on rural growth, microfinancing, MSME industry growth. I mean, the Prime Minister has been really saying about Make in India, particularly for MSME. And now defense, IDEX came out of that, Innovations for Defense Excellence, where 20% of their budget, R&D budget, is now meant for startups in India who can provide solutions which was not there earlier. They were only having RFPs and complicated RFPs, and only foreign companies were winning all the deals. I think with the recent policies like Drone Shakti, Agri-Tech is taking center stage. 70% of our country labor is in agriculture, though our GDP is a much smaller portion of the agri economy. But we need to focus on that. I think most of the schemes that I see at least being rolled out have very consciously addressing, whether it is aspirational district program, which is there in the NITI Aayog, where all these 115 districts are being consciously monitored and given support in terms of education or sanitation and all that stuff. But we need to improve on that. And I also, when I was in NITI Aayog, I did find one gap. I found multinationals ready to support many government schemes, but I didn't find our Indian companies ready to support many of them. That needs to change. We need the top Indian companies to support many of these requirements there. And it is growing, but I think the Indian companies have the challenge quarter se quarter tak, as they say, you know, I have to show the revenue, I have to show the growth and so on and so forth. So their focus is still on how do they build up their own organizations. Multinationals have a vested interest in India because they want to capture the market, so they work very closely with government schemes to avail, whether it is in CSR and all of that. But if we have more private industry participating at the local level, take for example, this is why the community innovation centers concept came up. Community innovation centers were being set up only in tier 2, tier 3 cities. They are not set up in tier 1 cities. And you need to have a local industry partner who is operating in that place or around that place to be a partner to the institution who is being given the grant for setting up a community innovation center. That way, the industry partner is incentivized to stimulate innovation in his or her area of domain, whether it's the sugarcane industry, if it is in Goa, the fishing industry or the cashew nut industry and so on. And we are creating local jobs and local job innovation. So,
could you please name some of the areas for startup opportunities in rural India?
so agriculture is a very big opportunity.
Specific,
And agri-tech.
no, specific areas I want, not in broad sense.
So when you say specific area, give me an example of what you mean by specific.
Sorry, agri-tech you mentioned. What we have to do in agriculture?
Productivity of the farmer, okay, and then you have crop yield. You have a lot of wastage of due to crop diseases and so on and so forth. And you also have a problem in terms of irrigation management, water management, and the wastage of waters. 90% of water is because we are cultivating only rice, etc., and all of that, and they are huge guzzlers of water. So there needs to be technology can be a huge provider of solutions in this. Soil health cards is already devised by the government. You can use those internet technology and sensor technologies to be able to help the farmer assess the situation on the ground. The satellite data comes in, and you have, for example, large corporates like Bayer who are setting up better life farming centers across. I don't know whether you all are aware of that. So they set up 100 plus centers across the country. And these are all to bring the benefit of technology to yield greater productivity, to have better yield, and to double the farmer's income. So this is one. Drone technology can be a very effective way of seeding as well as prevention of crop diseases and so on. And satellite technologies can be used very effectively along with mobile technologies. If I take education, there is a huge opportunity. Distance learning, still we have a huge problem in terms of the last mile problem. Villages, 650,000 villages, they don't get quality, they don't have quality infrastructure and they don't have quality training, but digital technology can come to the fore by setting up remote classrooms, virtual classrooms. Interactive learning is still, it cannot be a one-way communication. So for example, I've been talking to some of the companies and saying you have the TV box, set-top TV box. The set-top TV box is a one-way communication. You flip the channels and you get various channels. Why can't you make it an interactive set-top TV box so that you can have dual communication possibilities, which is possible with today's technology. And therefore, learning can be where you have good quality teachers, but interacting with the students, asking questions, getting answers, and so on and so forth. And I think some of the IITs are working on that. But EdTech is already booming. We have had 4 unicorns only in EdTech in the last year. That is another big opportunity. Third is healthcare. Healthcare, telemedicine, COVID-19 showed. I mean, everyone was remotely connected to the doctors. Nobody was visiting because hospitals, doctors didn't want them to visit. They were afraid of getting COVID themselves from the patient. So I saw so many innovative companies. There is a company called Dozy, which you may have familiar with. They came up with a set of sensors. You just put it under your mattress, and it takes all the readings, your pulse rate, your heart rate, etc., and then you can also plug in other devices to the DOSI system. On your mobile, it tells you exactly what is the current state condition, including your breathing, your oxygen, O2 level, SpO2 level, and all of that. I thought it was very neat because I used it for my family got COVID, and we put under the mattress for everybody, and we were monitoring because we were afraid to go to the hospital, because the hospital they'll put you on ventilator and then we don't know whether it will come back or not. So we were doing, and I think this is a very big opportunity for telemedicine and home medicine. Take for example, now everybody comes home and takes your blood tests and all the tests, which was not happening earlier. You had to go to a hospital and do it. There is a company which is called Renal, which has just started. They are doing dialysis. So they come and do home dialysis, or they set up through the Ayushman centers. You can go to the local dialysis instead of coming all the way to a hospital and so on and so forth. So there is a whole lot in healthcare that is required. And then logistics management is another big thing for the rural area. So supply chain management, you can actually set up big warehouses, but you need technology to be able to track and to be able to store inventory and access inventory and so on. So there is a huge opportunity in logistics. There is also a big opportunity in affordable housing. Water management and pollution, there is a lot of startups now who are focusing on how do you deliver clean drinking water, how do you identify, it is the source of so many ills. So if you create a device which is able to monitor water, and it is able to also create clean drinking water through filters and so on and so forth, that's a great opportunity. Organic products are now booming. See what India lacks. India has tremendous growth of grains, fruits, everything, but the value-added products from these are all missing, right? And that's why we are very poor in value-added exports. And a country like New Zealand, like I said, is from milk they are creating so many products, from cheese to this, etc., etc. They sell kiwi fruits. We don't sell any of our fruits abroad because we are not having storage mechanisms or also the quality things. So value-added food products is a big area, and many food zones have been set up in our country in the rural areas. They are not in the main cities, in tier 2, tier 3 cities. And so I think people have an opportunity to do that. And in all of that, leveraging technology, very innovatively, can help them get an edge in terms of what they are doing.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.